This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the Wild West. You never know what you're going to pull out or what shape it's in. So upgrade your collection with the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies. MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. Plus, it's breathable and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Spotify with code SPOTIFY. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify, code SPOTIFY.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
Things are starting to get real down there in New Orleans. Real. This is the Eagles Checkdown, the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast there is. Covering news, notes, and opinions on your Philadelphia Eagles right here on the Eagles Pinpole Podcast Network. I'm your host, Phil Stifel, and guys, it's Thursday. It's February 6th. We are one day closer to Super Bowl Sunday with our Philadelphia Eagles down in New Orleans, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And guys, Wednesday was the first actual real New Orleans practice for the Super Bowl, and that's why things are getting real. Once practice starts down there, you know the games, the pomp and the circumstance of the Super Bowl week is over. It's time to lock in and get ready for this big game. And the first thing to dive into today is the injury report, and I love seeing the injury report. Jalen Carter was limited in practice on Wednesday. He was dealing with an illness. Kenny Gainwell was limited because he's still recovering from concussion, but being limited is a step in the right direction for him to be playing. Devontae Smith, Brandon Graham, both limited as well. I fully expect Devontae Smith to play. Brandon Graham definitely sounds like he's trending in the right direction. Brandon Graham, kind of hinted at one point when he got injured that he might try to play another year, not go out with that injury. But it's kind of looking like Brandon Graham will play, and he's talked in the media all week long about how this should be a great way to end his career. So very positive. Full participants in practice. Zach Bond, Britton Covey, Dallas Goedert, CJ Uzomah, all were full participants, names that we expect to play. And the big news coming out of practice is that Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens were full participants in practice. Their injuries are not going to keep them out of the Super Bowl. It is a massive win for the Eagles to be getting Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson back to full strength. Well, as full strength as their ankle and back can be at this point. That's not a knock on Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen did an excellent job filling in at left guard in the championship game, but getting your two studs on the offensive line back. Major win for the Philadelphia Eagles right there. So it's huge top thing that we're getting at there. And as we get closer to Super Bowl Sunday, I keep asking myself different questions. And one of the questions we keep hearing everybody asking, I'm asking myself, what makes this 2024 Eagles team different than the 2022 team that lost 38-35 in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs? And there's two things that really stand out. Well, a few things, but two main things that stand out. First and foremost, this is not a knock on Miles Sanders, but you're upgrading Miles Sanders to Saquon Barkley. In that Super Bowl in 2022, Miles Sanders rushed 7 times for 16 yards. And while Miles Sanders had a great season in the regular season that year for the Eagles and scored double-digit touchdowns and whatnot, it would be hard to fathom Saquon Barkley being held to under 20 yards in the Super Bowl. And in that Super Bowl loss, Jalen Hurts was the leading rusher, leading touch. He had 15 carries in that game. You're not going to have to rely on Jalen Hurts' legs as much. You got Saquon Barkley, the best running back in football. So that is the number one difference between that team and this team. The next thing is a massive difference in experience. There are 20 returning players from that team. This is not Jalen Hurts' first time, and I know we've heard this talked about all week. Last 17 quarterbacks to make it to the Super Bowl, lose their first time, never got back. Not since Jim Kelly in 1990 did a losing Super Bowl quarterback get back a second time. We got Jalen Hurts there. We got A.J. Brown. The offensively speaking, Jalen Hurts, even Kenny Gainwell, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, they're all still here. The experience on the offensive line, huge. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. Cam Jurgens, I think, came right after that. I'm not sure Cam Jurgens was here, but he wasn't starting at that time. That was Vaitai was there on the outside. No, Isaac Seumalo was on the outside there in that game. But the experience on the offensive side of the ball at the moment's not going to be too big for them, so that's a huge thing. Also, on defensively speaking, while there's a lot of carryover, starter-wise, only 3 defensive starters are still on this team, and you've upgraded this defense in so many different spots. I'm just going to go over the leading tacklers for the Eagles defense from Super Bowl 2022. Avonte Maddox led the team in tackles. He's a bench guy now. We've upgraded him to Cooper DeJean. TJ Edwards, who had a good year at linebacker, kind of upgraded that to Zach Bond, potential defensive player of the year. Next leading tackler, Marcus Epps. Oh, we got Reed Blankenship starting in that spot. James Bradbury. Oh, we got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson now. Javon Hargrave. Well, we got Jalen Carter now. You have to go all the way down to Darius Slay, who had 4 tackles in the Super Bowl to match or to find somebody that was in this game. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was there too. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, the only starters on defense that are still here. And the defense has massively been upgraded this year. And that's a huge difference for this defense. Huge difference. Just think about it. TJ Edwards to Zach Bond alone. Massive. And on top of that, on defensively speaking, because we got the Kellen Moore situation going on, we're upgrading Jonathan Gannon to Vic Fangio, the coordinator, the big guy. He's been around for 40 years doing this. There's nothing that he has not seen that he can't adjust from. So there are some huge factors in play that tell me that this year is going to be different than 2022 with this team. So, we've still got to figure out a way to be prepared for Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, big game defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. We still got to figure out who's going to stop Travis Kelce. Is it going to be Zach Bond? Is it going to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, whoever it's going to be? But this team is totally different and more prepared and more experienced to be set up to beat them. Andy Reid, I just some random notes here. Andy Reid, I love seeing it, a lot of media stuff happening this week, and some of it's bogus and some of it's weird. And the people that get credentials for, media week down there, I'm sitting at home and at my pizza shop doing these shows. But there's some of the people that get these credentials and go down there, kind of crazy with the questions. But something special is happening this year. Andy Reid coached, obviously, the Eagles to the Super Bowl back in the day with Terrell Owens and all. And Jeremiah Trotter was our starting linebacker for that team. Now, this year, coaching the Chiefs going up against the Eagles, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., his son of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. will be on the Eagles going up against Andy Reid. And I thought that was something that is kind of flying under the radar, just the big moment there that is. And another thing that I think is crazy, that if the Eagles beat the Chiefs on Sunday, Howie Roseman would have then led 2 different Eagles franchises to Super Bowl victories, which they've only got the 1 Super Bowl. But he would have been able to knock off and be able to say he knocked off teams led by Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, 2 of the 5 best quarterbacks in football all time. Just some odds and ends there that I thought was interesting. We did hear about Brandon Graham playing, and this could be his last game. Also, Darius Slay has earlier, a couple weeks ago mentioned that he wanted to play one more year, but didn't know if it would be, with the Eagles during the media week. Darius Slay has made multiple mentions that he does want to play one more year, but he would prefer it to stay in Philadelphia. If I'm Howie Roseman, I'm making a short-term fix of that contract so he can stay one more year. One final note, betting-wise, because we've been giving you betting notes every single episode for the last week or so. The line is flipped. The Eagles are now the betting favorite. A lot of the money, 60% of the money has been coming in on the Eagles, and the bettors see that. They flipped the script. The Eagles are now only a half a point favorite, but that's the first line move since the minus 1.5 Chiefs has come out. Now it's less than even money for the Eagles on the money line to win the game. So take that into account. The money's going. They don't want you betting the Eagles, but they're telling you to bet the Eagles there. The money's going in a certain way. Just take that into account, guys. This is the Eagles Checkdown right here on the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network. Tomorrow, Friday, you'll get my official Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl prediction and how they are going to win. Who are they going to have to stop or use to stop Travis Kelce? How are they going to beat them? Why do I think they're going to beat them? Because, spoiler alert, I think we're hoisting our second Lombardi trophy on Sunday. But how are they going to do it? What's my score prediction? You'll get that tomorrow, plus more practice updates and stuff. Eagles Checkdown right here on the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network. Catch me on Training in the AM on the STT Sports Network. Linked below, guys. Go Birds and bubbles up.